develop leaders. We generate change agents. We produce 80% of all Black doctors and dentists. The pipeline that produced many of America's Black first. We provide a sense of belonging, a celebration of our unique culture. The nation's VP-elect is a product of this distinct heritage, and we are proud to be Louisville's only historically Black college and university, Simmons College of Kentucky. We are Louisville's HBCU.
Dr. Cosby approached me back in the wintertime, and we had a meeting, and he had this idea and asked if we could partner and collaborate together in this work.
And Brother Marty, thank you for truly believing that no dream is too extreme.
It's really important to recognize the legacy that we enjoy from the journey of our parents, our grandparents, and those who develop institutions like Simmons College.
The reason why this partnership is so significant, this is really a return to what we were doing in the first place.
So we ought to just kind of take a minute and reflect on the reality of Simmons and the position it occupies in addressing something that we haven't been able to solve yet.
Before the government was prepared to begin educating the 4 million slaves who were released from slavery, it was the churches that began empowering the slaves for free life, because without an education, the slaves were not really free. They were just a group of dispossessed people who had no way of navigating life.
I'm really proud of as a Baptist Christian is that the church was so instrumental in helping these freed slaves realize the absolute critical need for education.
They aspired for Black people to be lawyers and teachers and physicians and the professional class. And they wanted to pattern themselves after Howard University.
They treasured getting an education, even if they only had the Bible. And they used that Bible as their first book. Many of the preachers of that generation were the ones who were not only the pastor of the local church, but the principal or the teacher of the little school. And the school may have been in the church facility. So this natural relationship, church and community, Word of God, and learning to improve the status of the people that God created in His image, how marvelous it is to think about we come out of that tradition.
When I was growing up in Louisville, Simmons College was a seminary. It was where ministers were trained, and it was not really considered a part of the mainstream of higher education unless you were interested in theology. Unlike today, Simmons is in the middle of addressing the important goals and expectations we should have of educational institutions.
Because the critical need is to reach into this community and let Black men and women actually have a chance to break out of systemic poverty. I did a Bible study on that campus, and I can see how Simmons plays such a critical role in exposing to people to so many things that you just obviously think they've been exposed to. They have not.
So here's the deal. You've got a history here that takes us back to before the Depression, where some of the most prestigious names in education, in law, in every facet of community life were involved with Simmons College.
I'm almost embarrassed to think that some of these men and women who were my mentors became angry with me and others who didn't take the great privilege we had to go to a black school and to have these mentors there. I mean, I had professors who were like the first PhDs from prestigious schools, and they dedicated their lives to come to a historically black college to change a whole generation of young blacks.
You know, we ought to celebrate that. Now, you bring together these two powerhouses, all that you've got at Simmons, all that you've got in JCPS, and you address what we have to acknowledge as a humbling but real issue, and that is the issue of underachievement of African American students across this community.
I confess that I get very frustrated with young people who don't want to go to school, don't want to prepare themselves, because I think about the price that those persons paid in order to crack open the door. When I think about what it has done for so many African Americans to break those barriers and to become the leaders of our nation and leaders in their community, the need for a historically black college is so critical.
Simmons College was initially Kentucky Theological and Normal School. That was the original name. It was a normal school. The word normal means teacher college. So the first teachers in this state came out of Simmons. Albert Mazik was a professor at Simmons University. The founder of the Urban League, one of the founders of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, the fraternity of Martin Luther King Jr. was Eugene Kinkle Jones, professor at Simmons University. You had Charles Paris Jr. All of this brilliance was at Simmons. So it started for the purpose of training the black professional class, and especially teachers.
To ask to the podium one of the truly inspired leaders who brought us together, Dr. Marty Pollio, Superintendent, Jefferson County Public Schools.
We know, first of all, that we have a teacher shortage. There is teacher shortage across America, and we have to address that.
We are getting ready to take a real step forward in addressing a persistent problem of our community, that being the underrepresentation of African Americans and other minorities in the classrooms of the Jefferson County Public Schools.
But even more importantly for us is minority teacher recruitment. Right now in JCPS, about 35% of our students are African American students, but only about 15% of our teaching staff are African American teachers.
Our children need to see people like them in roles that are affirming and supportive of students as learners and teachers as leaders in the community.
With our partnership with the National Baptist Convention of America International, their goal is to recruit from across the country kids to be trained at Simmons College in partnership with JCPS. Send to Louisville. Black kids feel a calling to be teachers because teaching is a calling.
The National Baptist Convention of America International Incorporated consists of some 3.5 million historically African American church members around this country. We made a decision back in 2016 while meeting in our annual session in Cincinnati, Ohio, to move our headquarters. And now Simmons College of Kentucky is the home of the National Baptist Convention of America International.
The opportunity to work alongside an HBCU is important to BSK, and the energy that's forming there with the combination of Simmons, BSK, and the National Baptist Convention of America is unlike anything else in the country.
We want to talk about progress on more equitable higher education and opportunity for generational change. Senate Bill 270 supports Kentucky's private and public historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, in expanding services to students, particularly in West Louisville. It's going to expand opportunities for teacher preparation programs, allow students attending Simmons, Kentucky's only private HBCU, to receive Kentucky tuition grants. In doing so, it's going to boost academic achievement among African American students, both directly and indirectly.
What has happened at Simmons College has exceeded anything I could have dreamed or imagined. And if we were able to do this in 14 years with limited money, just think of where Simmons can be 25 or 50 years from now.
Is by nature going to help with the economic development of the surrounding community. Everywhere you see an HBCU, you see a transformed community.
So education has great value, but perhaps the greatest value that Simmons will bring, because now black kids will see kids that look like them going to college. So it creates a new normal. It's hard to be what you have not seen.
We are talking about making the foundation and culture and the environments for educational services for all of our students productive and nurturing.
I've learned so much and I love my teachers. I guess the best part is changing my life. Oh, I love seeing black professors. It just gives me a goal that if they did it and they're in front of me, then I could do it.
He pushed me enough and cared for me enough to let me know that I'm more than the choices and decisions that I'm making.
To strengthen and to broaden our ambitions and our ability to pursue the ambitions.
Most of these students, I would dare say, when they entered into the program, they didn't see themselves getting an advanced degree, but now we're seeing it.
When I became the president of Simmons College in 2005, I knew we had something. You couldn't tell from the outside what we had because we were in a poor, distressed neighborhood with no money and in a dilapidated building. But we had something. We had history.
It was the history. It was the history. Like, we not only just made.
Going to Simmons is definitely an experience because of the history that we have here.
That teacher, he started just laying the history down on us. And when we heard it, it like really inspired us. Like, we looked at him in the way of us being delivered. Like, that history just was like, whoa. It was like a superhero. He was like a superhero, and he really, really, truly planted that inspiration inside of me to want more. That hunger just really was like, oh my goodness, like I want to know what he knows, and I want to do what he do.
The black community is pregnant with talent. There is talent. We have to locate it, identify it, and then we have to give those persons encouragement because people tend to rise to the level of our expectations.
You're not only developing them as students, you're developing community servants that are going to be the next leaders, that are going to carry that Simmons message.
You think about great leaders who've shaped American history from the black community. It is people who've been trained, for the most part, at HBCUs. Never forget that HBCUs are just 3% of the colleges and universities in America, but they graduate about 20% of all blacks with a college degree, 50% of all black school teachers, about 75% of all black doctors. When it comes to the nurturing of black talent, no institution does more than HBCUs.
The president of Simmons College says the greatest investment Louisville can make is in the city's only historically black college. Well, JP Morgan Chase has made a $500,000 donation to address the diversity gap that exists in the data science field.
Recognizing that my identity as a black woman had a place in data science.
Alicia McLean is part of the 3% of black women who work in the data science field.
Don't see people who look like me in the field of technology. That is going to lower my interest in going into that field.
The $500,000 gift aims to pique that interest and transform the students' lives, creating a pathway of opportunity to close the existing wage, race, and gender gaps.
We're going to bring educators who know how to understand where their candidates, where their students are, who understand what to do to support their immediate goals and set subsequent goals for their subsequent achievement, who understand how to document their work in ways that will inform those who come next, those who work after them, and who understand how to problem solve when they're institutional issues that represent barriers to student achievement.
Our students are going to use this not only to foster growth and development in their life, but it's also going to happen for their community.
And see, we're not just going to go in there and do the best we can with what we got. We're going to go in there and understand what the best looks like and then create the circumstances in which the best is possible.
On top of that, we now have the Evolve 502 scholarship. Every single JCPS graduate that is in high school right now for the next 3 years is guaranteed a scholarship. So 6,000 students have the opportunity to attend Simmons College of Kentucky, essentially without paying a dime.
More, bringing the next generation of leaders onto the stage to continue this journey.
It's not just one partnership or one grant donation, but it's continual partnerships and building that coalition of partnerships and advancing equity within the city of Louisville.
We must walk on in the days ahead with an audacious faith in the future.
That resonates with me first because we know the accumulation of injustices over centuries presents an immense barrier for so many people in our community.
So in order to tell the truth, it is necessary to move on and say, not only we've come a long, long way, but we have a long, long way to go.
Louisville Metro government has faith in change, and while the work of overcoming generational injustices to create a city of racial equity and justice is daunting, we are fully committed to doing the work.
We are mobilizing. We have a coalition of conscience and a grand alliance now that will bring an end to the injustices that have been with us for so long.
Our commitment to equity and inclusion has been a guiding principle throughout our work.
And I still believe that somehow this problem can and will be solved.
We can address these challenges. We will continue to address these challenges in the spirit of Dr. King's lifetime of good deeds and words with the audacious faith in the future.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone at the Kentucky Lottery, We are so proud to partner again with Simmons College of Kentucky for this virtual lecture series celebrating Black History Month. We're neighbors here in Louisville, located at the entry to Portland, not far from the Simmons campus. Simmons, founded in 1879, is a part of the fabric of our community by helping provide educational opportunities. And we at the Kentucky Lottery also work to serve that purpose. Black history is not just something reserved for February. It's celebrated every day through our friends, our neighbors, and our community that embraces diversity. This rich history embodies what our country strives to be, and this richness and diversity are what makes America and American history so unique. Although most of you probably know that Kentucky Lottery, for our scratch-off tickets or big Powerball jackpots, promoting education and workforce development in Kentucky is at the heart of what we do. 22 years ago, members of the General Assembly in Frankfort dedicated Kentucky Lottery proceeds to funding college scholarship and grant programs. Since then, the largest chunk of our proceeds, now more than $4 billion, with a B, $4 billion, have gone to fund programs to help Kentucky students attend college. These funds pay for the popular Key Scholarship Program as well as the need-based College Access Program. Between these two initiatives, just last year, more than 120 Simmons students were able to use $213,000 to attend Louisville's own HBCU. For the time during which Simmons students have been able to use these dollars, more than 700 students have used nearly $1 million to pursue their degree at Simmons. These are numbers in which we take great pride. To put this in perspective, 95 cents of every dollar of college student financial aid awarded in Kentucky comes straight from Kentucky Lottery proceeds. This economic investment adds to the prosperity of our community at large. And in the past 21 years, 1 out of every 5 Kentucky residents has received a college scholarship or grant paid for by the Kentucky Lottery. We're proud to stand with Simmons College of Kentucky to recognize Black History Month and the contributions of HBCUs. Simmons College of Kentucky is an integral part of the community in Louisville, as is the Kentucky Lottery, and we appreciate the opportunity to help bring this important series to you. Today, we know that Kentucky's most deserving students are counting on us, and our mission of fueling imagination and funding education is more important than ever. Thank you.
The music department at Simmons College now offers a gospel track for its music performance degree. Our Department of Music exists to develop musical knowledge and skill. Students become beneficiaries of program features and faculty that distinguish music as both an academic and artistic discipline. Program options include brass and woodwind instruments, as well as guitar, bass, strings, piano, percussion, and voice. Your gifts will be encouraged and developed by a staff of experienced performing musicians and by the warm support of your peers. You will have frequent opportunities to perform, including vocal ensemble, gospel choir, jazz ensemble, marching band, and other ensembles, both on and off campus. Your music program can go no higher than those who lead it. Now is your time to build a strong music ministry from within. Help support passion already in your community. Help develop gifts already in your congregation. You might have the next James Cleveland in your church and don't know it. the heritage of artistic dignity found at historic black colleges and universities, the tradition of black excellence in gospel music, the calling to use your gift to turn hearts. Your journey toward obtaining a bachelor's degree in music starts now. Simmons College of Kentucky. Apply today. Become a part of the legacy.